Unleash the power of knowledge and connect with the heartbeat of the African diaspora. Download our African Diaspora News Channel app now on Google Play and Apple App Store. Stay informed with authentic and diverse perspectives, breaking news, and cultural insights. Immerse yourself in a community that celebrates unity, resilience, and progress. Experience the vibrancy of the diaspora at your fingertips. Don't miss out. Empower your perspective today. Search African Diaspora News Channel and join the conversation.
Hello, African Diaspora News family. My name is Reneilwe Morema, and I am your host right here on the African Diaspora News Channel. I'm reporting live from Johannesburg, South Africa. We got to be proud of West Africa. That side of Africa is the reason why 2025 is going to be a year of growth, resilience, and revolution for the west side of Africa. And eventually, I hope that resilient spirit can make its way down to the southern part of the continent. Ivory Coast has kicked out French troops out of their country. Ivory Coast is the latest African country to kick out their oppressor. France has been taking an L in the West Africa in recent years. And let me tell you, the economy and the resource productions in these countries that kicked out France has improved significantly. For example, check out this image. Since kicking out France in 2023, Burkina Faso gold production was reported at 60 million kg in December 2023. This records an increase from the previous figure of 58,130,000 kg for December 2022. What these colonial countries like France do is steal from African countries and go and enrich their economies. They make these African countries, invest in these French banks, make them pay high interest rates. If these African countries take out a loan from their own invested money in these French banks, then they will make them pay high interest rates when they return the money. Africa is operating on an all-time loss while making European countries rich, thanks to these puppet leaders that we have today. The change in leadership in these Western African countries surely improved their economies and set the tone for which direction the continent should ultimately take. Now, Ivory Coast announced on Tuesday that French troops will leave the country after a decades-long military presence, the latest African nation to downscale military ties with its former colonial power. Ivorian President Alassane Ouattara said the pullout would begin in January 2025. France has up to 600 troops in Ivory Coast. For what? Only God knows. In his statement, Ivorian president said, "We have decided on the concerted and organized withdrawal of French forces in Ivory Coast," he said in his statement, adding that the military infantry battalion of Port-Bouet that is run by the French army will be handed over to Ivorian troops. Ouattara's announcement follows that of other leaders across West Africa, where France's militaries are being asked to leave. Analysts have described the request for French troops to leave Africa as part of the wider structural transformation in the region's engagement with Paris. France has suffered similar setbacks in several Western African countries in recent years, including Chad, Niger, and Burkina Faso, where French troops that have been on the ground for many years have been kicked out. Several West African nations, including coup hit Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger, have recently asked the French to leave, as I've stated in my previous line. Among them are also most recently Senegal and Chad, considered France's most stable and loyal partner in Africa. So Senegal and Chad, they were like, yeah, we are loyal and everything, but we are seeing the revolution that is happening in our neighboring countries, and what are we waiting for? We also want to experience freedom. So adios, France. The downscaling of military ties comes as France has been making efforts to revive its waning political and military influence on the continent by devising new military strategy that would sharply reduce its permanent troop presence in Africa. France has now been kicked out of more than 70% of African countries where it had troop presence since ending its colonial rule. The French remain only in Djibouti with 1,500 soldiers and Gabon with 350 troops. Guys, Africans in particularly, have you asked yourself why the continent is engulfed in foreign military troops? I mean, are there African troops in Europe? No. So why do they have troops in our own continent? I mean, to truly live in liberation and true freedom, all foreign military troops and influence should leave the continent permanently. Obviously, they aren't here to serve the interests of Africa, but their own interests. So they must leave. West Africa is rewriting its own history, one military base at a time. You know what? I am so happy for West Africa. Sovereignty is it's not just a word, but it's a movement. And these Western African countries have embarked on that movement. And as I've mentioned in my opening line, I said, I hope the same spirit, the same resilient spirit makes its way down to the southern part of Africa, because we are still living in neo-colonialism. I mean, look at Mozambique. People are being killed for wanting transparency. Soon this will happen to South Africa. Once we kick out the ANC, you will see how violent that party is. It is willing to let South Africa burn than get out of power. What do you think about this segment? Comment to us in the comment section below. Don't forget to like and share the broadcast. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss these groundbreaking